Hello everyone, Lot Garden Bird Lady here, coming to you guys with a quick video. And in this video here, I just want to, in the beginning, before we even get into everything, I just want to let you know I apologize about the sound quality of this video. I'm trying to talk as loud as possible. There's something wrong with the mic import in my camera, so it wouldn't take my wireless lapel mic, or it wouldn't even take my my wired lapel mic. The only thing that it would take is my Rode mic. My Rode mic is a very, very powerful mic. It does pick up not only my voice but everything else that's going on around me. So I would try to speak really loudly so that it can kind of zero in on my voice instead of zeroing in on everything that's going on around me. Prime example. So, and then in editing, I will try to edit out any kind of background noise or distort background noise. So with all of that being said, in this video here, I just want to talk about and give you some tips on, and even tell you the best kind of vegetables to grow for our parrots. So let's jump right into it. Thank you so much for stopping by my channel. If this is not your first time, welcome back. If this is your first time, welcome, welcome, welcome. I hope that you do decide to join the family and stay by hitting that like button, that subscribe button, and of course ringing that bell. Now, this is a very diverse channel. My name is Lot Garden Bird Lady, so you know there's going to be at least 3 different things I'm going to talk about on this channel. But I do have a lot of parrot-centered videos, gardening-centered videos. So make sure that you turn on the notification bell so that you won't miss any of those parrot-centered or gardening-centered videos. So just because this video is gardening for parrots, it's just going to be gardening period. But I just want to focus more on things because I grow a lot of things in my garden that my parrots actually can't eat, like onions and things like that. So I just want to focus this series on things that parrots can actually eat. And don't get discouraged. And I'm sorry, in this video my parrots aren't included in this video. I know you love to see them. I'll put a picture of them for you, but because there is a family of cats that have taken up residency in my yard up under our back porch, and there is a huge hawk that has been flying around. So, and I can't find Casper's harness. Don't know what I did with his harness, so I actually may have to end up ordering another one. I did some I just don't know what I did with it, and I don't want him to be outside and take flight and that hawk is just slowly around here. I don't feel like the hawk would try to get Casper because Casper's a big bird, but I don't know. And I also don't want, you know, the cats to be tempted to try to do something to my parrots. So that's why I don't have them outside right now. But once I get Casper's harness, he will be outside with me in future gardening videos, hopefully. But yeah, so just sit back and relax. I'm just going to talk about in this video, like I said, I grow a lot of things in my garden, but in this series here, I'm just going to focus on the things that parrots can eat. In this video here, I am going to just basically be talking about vegetables that you can mainly grow in the summertime, because it is May. You know, we're in full swing in the summer. I'm down south, so you know it's like 80 degrees here. That's why I got on my little, you know, my husband's fisherman hat. But it's 80 degrees out here. It's very hot. So I'm just going to focus on vegetables that you can grow in the summer, and give you some tips on. And these vegetables that I'm going to tell you about, they can be grown even if you don't have. A lot of people come to my channel and they say, well, I live in an apartment or I don't have a yard. You can have a complete container garden. I made this garden that you see behind me, the flower garden that you see behind me, is actually a boat. And I will show you some footage on that. I actually made a garden out of a boat. I have containers that I'm going to show you guys that I grow my flowers and different vegetables in, and I also have in-ground. So here are my containers that I grow into. This, like I said, I made a garden bed out of a boat. So if you have containers and you have things just laying around, you don't actually have to have a yard. My pollinated garden is in a boat. And these are the containers that I use to grow. I've grown sweet potatoes in that middle container right there. I've actually grown sweet potatoes in that container before. So whiskey barrel containers are fine, but the best kind to get are the fabric pots. So I will put links to those, Amazon links to those in the description box. But yeah, so that's my herb garden, my pollinator garden, and I am going to end up putting some carrots down in there as well, because carrots take a little longer to grow. So yeah, but see, even though I have some vegetables in the ground, I also grow vegetables in these containers as well. So yeah. So just because you don't have a yard, do not think that you still cannot grow fresh vegetables for your parents. The reason that I like to grow my parents' vegetables myself is because I know what goes into those vegetables from the seed, most of the time, from the seed to harvest. I know what goes into it. I know what pesticides are on it. And even though sometimes we can wash some of our vegetables, they still can end up having, you know, a pesticide residue on them. So and you know, parrot systems are very, very sensitive. So the fresher and the more organic the vegetables are, the better, you know, the healthier they are going to be for not only us but for our parrots as well. Now, with that being said, I don't want to say don't buy vegetables from the store, because if there's some vegetables that I don't have and they're not because they're not in season and they're not in my garden, I go and buy them from the store. I don't grow, you know, and this is going to be focusing more on vegetables than fruit. Because I don't grow, honestly, I just don't grow a lot of fruit. I grow mostly vegetables, and most of the fruits that I am growing, they actually take years before they really start to produce really well. Like my peaches, my blueberries, my peaches, my pomegranates, things of that sort, they take a really, really long time. So I'm just going to focus on what you can grow for that particular season. I usually try to grow everything directly from seed. I start my seeds indoors and I transfer them outside. Right now it's so late in the season that some of my vegetables I did actually get from the garden center, because I started my seeds inside and I've been sick for a while now. I've been trying to recover for a while, so I started my seeds inside. And I'm sorry, my dog Caitlin is. So we have Miss Caitlin here running around the yard, scaring me. Hey mama. Hey mama. You look at the camera. So I started all my vegetable seeds inside, and I've been sick for about a month, so I've been a little out of it, a little delirious. My mind has just been everywhere. It's just been crazy. But I digress. I brought my seedlings outside to harden them off, and what hardening off means, it means to introduce your plants or your seedling to the hot sun. They've been grown under grow light, so they're used to mild light, and if you don't harden them off and slowly introduce them into the sun, they will actually die. And that's what happened. I bought them outside that morning, and I usually bring them in by noon and put them back under the grow light. I left them outside all day, uncovered all day long, and the sun burned all my seeds. I mean, I had a huge tray. You can't see my hands, but I had a huge tray of seeds. So we're talking about like 72 seedlings that I had in there that had sprouted, that I was getting ready to harden them off so that I can slowly bring them outside and plant them in the ground, completely burnt up. And each of the 72 holes or peat pallets, it had 2 seedlings each. So we're looking at 144 plants that just burnt up, that are just gone. So I ended up having to go to the garden center and buy some plants, because by the time they get to that size that they were, then it's going to be too late to plant them outside. They're not gonna make it. So there are some exceptions. You can buy the seedlings from the farm stores or Lowe's or places like that, but I prefer to grow everything from seed, because I know what's going in it from seed up. But I have a mixture this year. Some things like my squash, my watermelon, my cucumbers, zucchinis, all of those are going to be grown directly from seed, direct sown outside. And my tomatoes, my first round of tomatoes, my first round of peppers, those plants were bought from the store. So yeah, so let's jump into just talking about what this series is going to be about. The best things to grow this time of year for your parrots are going to be leafy greens. And if you live in the south like I do, it is sometimes a little difficult to grow leafy greens when it gets really, really hot. But I do have some videos, and I am going to do some updated videos on how to grow those leafy greens. Give you some tips. When I say leafy greens, I mean like your lettuce, your Swiss chard, kale, things of that sort. You can actually still grow them in the hot weather. So when we talk about leafy greens, this is what I'm talking about. This is romaine lettuce that I have growing here. I'm going to have to pick it soon because, as you can see, it's starting to actually... Going to have to end up harvesting it pretty soon because, as you can see, it's starting, that head is starting to form. And one good thing about romaine lettuce is romaine lettuce is a cut come again lettuce. So once you cut it down, if you keep watering it, it will grow back. And back here is where I have my Swiss chard. As you can see, beautiful, beautiful Swiss chard. So this row right here is lettuce and Swiss chard, strictly for me and my parrots, of course. Swiss chard will grow very well in the winter. It will grow all season long. Like, you can keep Swiss chard in your yard for like 2 years. It would just keep growing until you tell it to stop growing. It doesn't die. So that's a really good leafy green to have for your parrots. Kale does not do as well. It does better in the fall and in the wintertime. But if you grow lacinato kale, it will grow the same way as Swiss chard. The heat doesn't bother it. It will just keep going and going and going. Now, if you're getting like the curled kale and things of that sort, you may find some difficulties with it growing in the heat. But if you get lacinato, or it's also known as dinosaur kale, if you get that, then that kale, you will be able to grow that in the hot season and in the winter as well. It's like Swiss chard. It just keeps going and going and going. So those are some leafy greens, two main leafy greens that you can grow any time of the year. Lettuce, you need to find lettuce that is slow boat. And on the lettuce packages, it will have on there slow boat. So what I do is, a lot of my seeds, I buy them from Bakercreek Heirloom seeds. I buy them from myseedneeds.com, and I will put links in the description box below. They have different varieties of kale. They have different varieties of lettuce from all over the world. So they have lettuces that actually grow in tropical climates. So they would do well in our hot climate. So that's why I suggest going online, looking at some of these different seed companies if you're going to grow from seed, and find things that you can grow in your climate. Like most of the lettuce plants that you find in the store, and most of the lettuce seeds that you find in the store, they are going to be for that particular. Usually it's going to be a variety that does better in milder climates and not hotter climates. It's best to get the seeds from online because, like I said, it's from all over the world. You have different types of kales that grow in tropical climates. I keep saying kale. Different types of lettuces that grow in tropical climates. And my parents love lettuce. Now, I'm not a big fan of iceberg lettuce because iceberg lettuce is just pretty much water. Doesn't have much nutritional value in it. I love romaine lettuce. My parents love romaine lettuce. There are different types of romaine types of lettuce that you can grow that will grow in the summertime. You can also grow them in the shade in the summertime. They'll do a lot better being out of the direct sun. If they get morning sun but evening shade, that's ideal. You can grow them around your taller plants like tomatoes, eggplants, things of that sort, and those tomatoes and eggplants will shade that lettuce out so that it can be able to successfully grow in the summertime without bolting too quickly. So leafy greens is one. We touched on leafy greens. The next one and I don't have any notes, so I'm just kind of going off the head here. The next one is a good one to grow is squash. Squash thrives in heat. It thrives in heat. The best type of squash that my parents like, butternut squash. They love butternut squash. The only bad thing about growing squash in the heat in the area where I live, we have these pests called squash vine borers. So usually they are more towards the south. They're more towards the states that are considered as southern states is where we have the squash vine borer. So we have to do a little bit extra work to keep those squash vine borers from destroying our plants. But it is possible to grow squash in the summertime. My parents, they love butternut squash. They like yellow squash. They will only eat it cooked. They like yellow squash. So I grew a lot of yellow squash. I grew a lot of I haven't been successful in butternut squash because the squash vine borer has always gotten me, but hopefully this year I'll be successful in butternut squash. So those are the two main squashes that I grow in the summertime for my parrots. It depends on what your parrots like. If they like zucchini, for some reason my parrots won't eat zucchini, but they will eat yellow squash, which zucchini and squash is pretty much in the same family. I don't know, they're weird, I don't know, but squash is a good one to grow in the summertime for your parrots. Another one to grow are cucumbers. Cucumbers are very prolific and they're very easy to grow. If you give them plenty of water, give them the right type of fertilizer, and I will have a grow guide on cucumbers as well. You plant them in some good fertile organic soil. Cucumbers, they are the type of vegetables to where the more you pick, the more it's going to produce. So let me just break down how vegetables work. What all vegetables are basically children, babies of the actual plant. When the plant comes into maturity, it begins to produce, and it produces to prolong its life. When we take that fruit away, or those vegetables away, it makes it produce even more, because it tells it, hey, that one is gone or that one's fell off, so we won't be able to continue our lifespan. So let's continue. Let's produce more. So cucumbers is one of those plants. Cucumber and squash are both those types of plants where the more you pick, the more they're going to produce for you. So cucumbers will keep going until like the cold knocks them out. So cucumbers is a gift that keeps on giving. So I would say cucumbers, definitely, if your parrot likes cucumbers, definitely grow cucumbers for your parrots. My parrots love sweet potatoes. Sweet potatoes, another one you just plant and you just let it go. One thing with sweet potatoes, you can actually grow it in containers. I've done it before, but you need to have a lot of room for the vines to run if you're going to grow sweet potatoes for your parrots. Just have a lot of room for your vines to run. And I will put pictures on the type of containers that I use, and I'll have in the description box below. I think I used to get like a 30-gallon grow pot. I grew them in a 30-gallon grow pot once before, and I will put Amazon links as well where you can get the grow pot. That is a huge haul. Where you can actually get the grow pots. So yes, sweet potatoes are another one that you can actually grow without having a big yard. You can actually grow them in containers as well, and they are a low maintenance crops. My parents love sweet potatoes. I can get Casper to do anything I want to do for some sweet potatoes. So they are really, really good for their health, as well as they taste good to our parents. Speaking of, and root vegetables are very, very nutritious for us as well as our parents. So you have things like beets, radishes, carrots, especially carrots. My parents love carrots, so I grow different types of carrots, different color carrots, and they grow well, and they grow better for me in the fall. But I do grow them in the spring and in the summertime as well. The only difference is in the spring and the summertime they are a little bit more woody than they are They are a little bit more woody when I grow them in the summertime than they are when I grow them in the wintertime. And with them being woody like that, I don't give them to them raw. I just kind of cook them just a little bit or steam them just a little bit to soften them up, and then they're fine. They're fine with them. So carrots, radishes, and beets, they would eat. Well, they don't eat. My parents don't eat radishes. Well, let me get this right. Danny eats radishes. Casper just likes to destroy radishes. It's kind of like a toy for him where you'll take it and just rip radishes apart, and that's fine. If he's foraging, that's fine. So root vegetables are very, very important as well. So in those root vegetables, the main ones that I grow for my carrots are when it comes to root vegetables, the main ones that I grow for my parents are carrots, sweet potatoes, and radishes. There are different kinds that you can grow, but these are just the ones that I'm going to have grow guides for, because these are the ones that I specialize in. Now, depending on what climate you live in, you may be actually able to grow broccoli this time of year. A lot of times it gets a little too hot in my area to grow them in the summer, and they begin to bolt. Like the ones that I grew in the winter, as soon as it started heating up, they bolted, and I collected the seeds from them. So yeah, you definitely don't want to, if you live in a very hot climate, you definitely don't want to grow broccoli this time of year, unless you can grow that. You can grow broccoli in hot climates this time of year. You have to do a little bit more work. It's better to grow them in a more of a shaded area, cooler area. It gets like in the triple digits here. So I personally haven't been successful in growing broccoli. It always bolts every single year when it gets really, really hot. I have watched videos of others who live in like Texas that have been able to grow them in the summertime. I haven't been successful, but I know it is possible. So I won't be doing a grow guide on broccoli until the fall. But I'll put some links on some others who have had success in the summertime, in hotter climates. Another that is good to grow in the summertime is going to be beans. Now, want to go ahead and let you know, parrots love beans. They are healthy for them. They have protein in them, but they have to be cooked. If you try to give your parrots beans that are not cooked, that are raw, there is a toxin in them called hemoglobin, and it would actually cause your parrots to die. It's toxic to them. So if you're going to grow beans for your parrots, make sure that your beans are cooked. So my parrots actually like white acre peas. They like lima beans, black beans, and like I said, you have to make sure if you're gonna grow beans for your parrots, you cannot give them to your parrots raw. They will kill your parrots. Make sure that the beans are cooked. So my parrots like beans. Corn. Don't know how I forgot about corn, but corn is another thing that my parrots absolutely love. Corn for me is it's a hit or miss. I grew so much corn last year that I actually missed out on a lot. A lot of it I had to actually throw away because I just left it on the stalks too long and they ended up drying out. So what I usually do is I usually either take it and I will can corn, or I will freeze the corn, and I didn't do either last year, so I lost a lot of corn. So this year I'm going to make sure that I do some videos on how you can your corn, how you can freeze your corn, how you can preserve your corn. So corn definitely needs to be on the list for your birds. I think last but definitely not least, and I'm pretty sure I have some more come up later, is sunflowers. You can actually grow your own sunflowers. I don't give my parrots sunflowers often. They are treats for my parrots, but they do get them sometimes. So if you want to grow sunflower, some fresh roasted sunflower seeds, you can grow your own sunflower. The best one is the gray Russian mammoth. Those are usually the sunflowers that are used with the seeds that you actually see in the store. So you can actually give them to them raw. I mean, I have to fight when I'm drying out my when I'm letting my sunflowers dry out. I literally have to fight the wild birds because they will take them before I get to get them, and I have just a little holes on the ground. So definitely you need to, if you want to have some treats for your parrots, you can grow sunflowers. There are different types that you can grow, but the main ones that you see in the store are going to be the mammoth gray sunflowers. They get really, really huge. Some of them have big, huge heads, bigger than my head. You can roast them, or you can give them to your parrot raw, either or. You can actually grow tomatoes for your parrots, but tomatoes is one of those vegetables that you have to feed your parrot in moderation. Like Casper and Danny, they may get a tomato maybe once a week, because if you feed them too many tomatoes, it can actually cause ulcers in your parrots. And make sure you're just feeding them the actual tomato fruit if you do give them one occasionally, and not the actual leaves from the tomato plants, because the leaves from the tomato plant is from the nightshade family, and those leaves are poisonous to parrots. They are toxic to parrots. So make sure if you are growing tomatoes for your parrots, a lot of times I mix them up in like a little salad for them, and they only get them maybe once a week or so, if that. So yeah, you can grow tomatoes for your parrots, but you have to feed them those tomatoes in moderation. So this is more of an introductory video to the topic of gardening for parrots. I guess that's what I'm gonna call it. So if you're interested on seeing these grow guides, how to grow these different things, make sure you let me know down in the description box below which one you're more interested in, and I will make sure that I cover that one for you first. The one that gets the most votes, that's the one I'm gonna do first. If no one lets me know, then I'm just gonna do what I feel like doing. I don't know. But anyway, and make sure that you turn on your notification bell so you don't miss this series. I will, more than likely, these videos will be posted Monday evenings, because I am off every Sunday and Monday as of right now. My schedule will be maybe changing in June, but definitely make sure that you turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any gardening grow guys. Thank you so much, guys, for watching, and as usual, toodaloo, bye bye.